Hello, Albuquerque.
In those days, it was 41, so there's a lot of racism.
I'm a Boeing 737 first officer.
I did a lot of research and I recommend everyone do the same.
And now suddenly you're addicted, literally to heroin.
Where were you born? I was born in Cambridge, England.
Both my parents were drug addicts.
Welcome everybody to another episode. Please help me welcome my guest today, another special guest as always, my cousin through marriage, but cousin nonetheless, Ralphie Enriquez. Welcome to the show, man.
Hey, thanks for having me, boss.
Of course. So let's get started today with a little catch up. It's been a while since we've spoken or seen each other. I think the last time I saw you was a couple of years ago when you came to visit Nanny and Papo.
Wow.
No, it's
just
more than a couple.
It just feels like it just happened, but you're right now. It's been years.
Yeah, lots of years.
But not too much longer though, right? Like maybe 2 years tops, right?
No, it's been way over that.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was.
Honestly, it's gonna sound like conspiracy shit, but I feel like lately something's going on with the planets or some shit, but time itself is doing something where it's dilating something, in a weird way where it feels like even though 24 hours are in a day, it's still accelerating exponentially.
You could be right. I have no idea, but you absolutely could be right. And for our sake, I kind of hope that's not the case because I got lots of living to do still. I don't need time to be going any faster than it already does.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think the last time I saw you was pre-pandemic. So.
Yeah, wow. I guess that was
2018, maybe 2019, at earliest.
That's just crazy. I could swear it was after the pandemic, but you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely before. Yeah, it was 2018 or 19. Shit, man.
Fucking nuts.
I can settle this. Like when I get off, I got my what's it called? Those Facebook photos and stuff like that, and they're
okay.
Marked and stuff. So I can figure out exactly when we did that stuff.
I think you came down for Gina's wedding was the last time. And then you stayed.
No. Do you remember when we all met up when you were like living right down the street?
Yeah. Oh, okay. Hold on, maybe I'm off
with
then.
Alicia. Remember you met Alicia?
Yeah. Yeah, you guys came to our house.
Yeah.
Yeah, so okay, I'm thinking of the time before that.
You guys were felt like a stone's throw from Nanny and Pops.
It was about 15-20 minutes.
Wow. But, definitely shorter than where you guys are now, though, right?
We're way closer now to them.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Which I guess doesn't really matter now, but we won't worry about that live.
No, we're gonna speak on that. Just
cool. I didn't know. I wish we had actually talked about this before we started this. Like I didn't, because you were like, "Is there anything that I can't approach?" And I was like, "No, go ahead." But I forgot to maybe ask vice versa wise. So,
hey man, I'm an open book. This podcast is vulnerability, and I have to practice what I preach, what I bring to people. I can't be having you guys open up about your stories and your gritty details, and then not speak myself. So, how's life in where are you? You're in Pennsylvania. Is that correct?
Yeah. Let's see if I actually can give you guys. I don't know how well the front camera, its depth is. Actually, I wonder if I can just turn the camera on. Yeah, I can. Here you guys go.
Oh, shit. Look at you. That's your apartment?
Yeah.
Wow, that's fucking cool, dude.
So, if you like the city and stuff like that. But personally, my man, I'm telling you, I am not digging this. This, to me, is ugly.
Really? I'm a total city boy, so that view is beautiful to me.
I like trees. I like hearing the insects and stuff like that. I open up this window, and it's not like I don't want to oversell its shittiness necessarily, but when you that movie Big,
Yes.
I'm reminded of when like he turns off this television set and the same thing that's happening on the television is happening outside.
Yeah.
I've had those moments, man. I mean, like I look outside and sometimes it looks like a zoo. Like after 12 o'clock, I don't leave this building. I live in an ivory tower. No, and you're welcome to laugh. Don't worry. But it's. I genuinely feel bad living here because it does feel like I'm living in an ivory tower. It's like there's all this amenities in this place. Like I can go get a cappuccino right now. I can go play pool. I can go swim in a pool. I can go to the gym.
Wait, are you talking about in just your building?
Yeah, just this building.
Holy shit!
And it's the suite floor. You have to pay extra, but we pay extra. But what I'm getting at though is outside. Like past 12 o'clock, I am not going outside. You couldn't pay me unless I had like maybe some real protection or something like that. It's a zoo out there. It's crazy.
What city are you in? You're in Philadelphia?
Yeah, and the thing is, like the mayor, when she first got elected on, like she even like, what's it called? Made a state of emergency on crime because it's just that bad and stuff like that.
No kidding.
Now again, I don't want to oversell it. I sound like it's Mad Max and stuff like that. I mean, for the most part, like if you look outside, it's normal, it's fine, stuff like that. But just once every few weeks though, shit's going down though. Like, for instance, maybe about a month ago now, shit was going down as I just said. And when I mean shit's going down, I mean like you can just feel it. Like the whole city, like you hear sirens and they're coming from every which way, and then you hear choppers, and you're just like, what the fuck is going on? And then we've come to find out though that like someone was like pushed onto the tracks, basically right down the street from this place. There's you go across the street, walk about maybe a tenth of a mile, go down into the subway. Someone from right in that area pushed someone on there, and they got decapitated.
Wait.
You're talking decapitations because somebody pushed another person onto the tracks.
Yeah.
Fucking what the shit is going on, dude?
And I'm sitting there trying to tell their parents, like, this place is, it's nice, but, like, I'd like to kind of maybe go back out there a little bit, though, And it's just, like, I feel like they're living vicariously through her because they just think that we're just, like, we're in the city and we're just doing all those lofty things, you know what I mean? And I'm just like, man, we're just kind of, again, ivory tower. There's cool shit here. There's a lot of cool shit here, but it's like, it just feels weird to see that disparity and that difference, though. I mean, I'll look right outside my building. Right outside my building, there's literally just homeless people, just everywhere, man.
Damn, that's fucking nuts. I had no idea. I fucking had no idea. That's crazy.
It's happening everywhere too, though. Like anyone rehearing it too, I want to go ahead and lay that down. I'm not necessarily saying like, oh, this is Philly, dude. Like where I used to live in Atlanta, and keep in mind I wasn't in Atlanta. I was in the suburbs of Atlanta, right?
Sure.
But what I'm getting at though is, out in the suburbs, 5 years ago on down, you would never have thought to come out to the suburbs and fly a sign. Flying a sign is what homeless people do when you see a sign.
Yeah.
And they're like, so that's called flying a sign.
Okay.
But would never see a homeless person fly a sign in the suburbs area. And before I moved here, out of nowhere, like I'm talking right outside my neighborhood, I'm seeing homeless people in the suburbs, man.
That's crazy. And it's the same here.
My first homeless person I ever saw was in Washington, D.C. on the 8th grade field trip. And it took the longest time for that to catch up to where I live now, but it's finally literally right outside my front door now.
That's fucking crazy. It's the same here, dude. Albuquerque is
I cut you off earlier. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. I was just going to say, it's the same here because Albuquerque is just flooded with homelessness. It's fucking damn near every corner now. Santa Fe is about the same, and it's starting to spill over into Rio Rancho, which 2-3 years ago, you would have never seen a homeless person here in Rio Rancho. That's unfamiliar territory, so... I
have a friend in New Mexico. You don't know her, but she's an old friend. And long story short, when I was telling her, I was like, "Hey, I'm out in Rio Rancho. You want to come? Pop by. You can say hi to everybody, And she was like, "Rio Rancho?" She was like, "That is like the middle of nowhere in New Mexico." I was like, "Oh, I don't know. I came in to visit from Atlanta, So, what I'm getting at though is it's surprising me is what I'm getting at when you're telling me that they're in Rio Rancho. That lays down that even. This is not just the southern or southwest. This is everywhere. Like everyone's even pushed out, and what makes you wonder is like, and I don't want to get too far deep into this stuff though. But let me change the subject. But I wonder if this is happening because it's not necessarily more per se. I'm sure that there's more, but is it more that the powers that be, the gentrification of the city, are now successfully with the law and everybody on their side pushing these people out. You know what I mean? The same way we kind of did with the mental health people and stuff when all those
They very well
mental
could
health
be.
places closed down. We just stuck them on buses and just kicked them out to other states.
which I'm fucking not a fan of. Listen, I would way rather have psych wards than prisons. And I'm not saying let's lock up criminals in psych wards. I'm saying psych wards were at least a safe haven for people with mental illness to go and seek some sort of a treatment, some sort of help. There was a physical place where they could go and plead their cries for help. We're paying, a fortune in taxes to support all these people in prisons to have this leisurely, easy life, just sitting there waiting for their day of release, not contributing to society at all, and we're having to pay that out of our pockets when, the way I see it, either your crime was not worthy of prison, or it was so worthy of prison that you should just be killed. I mean, I hate to be that negative and Nancy of a person, but, if they did something that's that dirty that they should be locked up for life or get a death sentence, carry it out right away. Get that shit over with. I don't want to pay for them to live in the lap of luxury for years while they wait. Fuck that. Just kill them. Let's open up the psych wards and mental facility hospitals, send people there so they can get the help they need. Like, I don't know. The system's kind of fucked.
Do you watch It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia?
I don't. I've heard of it, but...
Well, there's this scene where, in my opinion, they always kind of like, they're never serious. Some people seem to think that they're actually like mean this kind of stuff, but it's all making fun of these kinds of people. But there's this scene where they're inside a mental ward and it's shut down. Long story short, he was like, why would they shut this place down? And she was like, well, because they were dipping into people's taxes, because they need more for taxes. And he was just like, what? They're going to raise my taxes? I can't have that. And she's like, well, then they have to just release them out into the street. And he was like, what? We can't have these people on the street. That's crazy. And she's like, well, then we have to raise taxes. He goes, what? I'm not paying taxes. Don't speak of this again. And exactly, it was funny, but like it genuinely, in a funny way, though, really showed what the issue is. We're like, oh my God, something needs to be done. Well, when we got to raise taxes, what? No, we can't do that. Well, then we got to go ahead and let them run the street. You know what I mean? And that's just, we're going to round and round. We're going to keep kicking this can down the street.
And it's going to continue that way.
As far as the jails go, you need to look into. I'm sure you already know about this, but it's an industrial complex. It's a privatized system.
Yeah.
That's why there's also no rehabilitation. That's why. Life of luxury, I have to. I'm trying to hear you. I mean, I'm sure that some places are nice, but for the most part, these places are not rehabilitation centers.
Okay, well,
we are putting criminals into jail, and they come out after. I just feel like after you paid your debt to society. This is not the death people. The death people, you had a good point, and I hear you. But I'm talking about the regular people who stole a car. They don't need to be in jail for the rest of their life. But they also need to be rehabilitated. But none of that happens. We throw them in these corners. We feed them shit, which is fine. I don't think they need to be, 5-course, 3-star meals. But feed them absolute dog shit. Just kind of kick them in the corner, and then that's really it. It's just like time. You're just doing time, and it's like, what about rehabilitating?
Right.
What about actually making people members of society in many other countries where they actually work on that? I'm telling you, these people actually turn their lives around. But when here, you have a scarlet letter. You have to wear that. I was in jail,
and then you go right back in
society. You still wear that scarlet letter. There is no rehabilitation
in
that.
You're right.
Literally a system that's set up to continue to keep making money off these people.
You're absolutely right.
Let's fuck this guy. Let's keep getting this guy back here because we make money off this.
And it works. It fucking absolutely works. They get out. They go right back to what they know.
More people than any other country.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Any other country by a large margin too.
Well, we're going down a rabbit hole here. I fully agree with you.
You can change subjects at any moment, man. This is your show.
No, likewise. This is our show. Like, this is a conversation-based podcast, so please, feel free to dip in at any time, ask questions, change the topic yourself. I don't mind. I'm not in control. I'm just...
Let's lead the way at first, because this literally is like the first time I've even really done anything quite like this, though,
Well, it's what I've had so far. Any experiences with this is, I just have people on and talk about our past, talk about our futures, talk about anything that's interesting. I like to get vulnerable and have my guests do the same. tell stories, stuff like that. You know, just I guess.
Okay, that's what I was curious about. I honestly, I should have. This was amateur. I should have at least checked out one of your episodes. But like,
well,
I
you
guess
can. That's not your fault. I haven't released any yet.
Okay.
I'm premiering it. I'm hoping the middle of April or the end of April at the latest. But there's a lot that goes into this. So, like, for instance, the audio only version of these episodes takes about 8 to 12 hours to edit, just one podcast, and then the video the 24 hours give or take to edit. So, you know, there's a lot of work that goes into it. So that's why I haven't released any yet. I'm building a nice back catalog so it's easier to release on a regular schedule.
That makes sense. Well, definitely let me know. Where are you gonna release them? I guess like the regular channels.
Yeah. So the video only is going to be YouTube, and the audio only is going to be Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Pod, all of those. You know, wherever you can get your podcasts. I'm going to try and dip into all those markets.
Okay. So what happened to the? I remember we were talking a while ago. It was about, I want to say it was planes or something like that. You had like an aviation one going, right?
No. I did an interview. I interviewed a pilot, which actually that's going to be one of my episodes for this. But I interviewed a pilot and sent it off to friends who have an aviation podcast, and they aired it on their podcast.
Nice.
Well, actually, it was on.
I listened to it though. I liked it.
It was aired on 2 different aviation podcasts. But thank you.
Nice.
Very nice of you to listen to it.
How did it do? Since it was on those, since it was released on different channels, did it do all right?
Yeah, I mean, I got a lot of feedback from those communities, but again, it's a very limited demographic because it's aviation geeks. You know, nobody's tuning into those who's not already interested in airplanes. So, you know, it was good. It was just something fun I wanted to do to contribute as a member of those aviation communities. So.
Well, I think that's how it should be done, though. I think that if you start with something with the sole goal of like, I just want like millions of followers and be famous, it's just like, you know, that I think that the work always kind of shows and the douchebaggery shows and stuff.
Oh, totally.
Anyone who's ever made it, in my opinion, who's worth a good goddamn, are people who wound up just doing something because they loved it and it just happened.
Well, and so
strike. You know.
To that note, this whole thing came about because I enjoy conversations with people. You and I have gotten into some pretty deep ass conversations, and I love that. It's great times. Mm-hmm. Then I was thinking about, you know, there's hundreds. I'm guilty of listening to a few myself of podcasts out there that are centric around celebrities. They're based around celebrities and these celebrity stories and these celebrity lives of how they got to where they are. And I'm thinking, you know, everybody out there has stories. Everybody's lived a life. So all of these stories are never going to get heard or told because they're not celebrities. They're not somebodies. So this podcast is basically a platform for anybody that I come across or anybody in my life. I want to get their stories out there so other people can hear them. It's, you know, there's good shit that everybody has, and everybody should hear this. It's not just you're famous, so everybody's going to listen to you. It's everybody should listen to everybody else's stories. And
yeah, it makes sense.
From my experience, you know, podcasts are growing at an exponential rate, and people just love listening to other people's talk. So this is a perfect platform for that.
Yeah, I'm glad no one ever came to me to ask for the future advice or some shit, because like I never would have guessed that. It amazed me that when I first, you know, growing up, I feel like I missed out on so much good shit because it's like I was right there when iron was hot with everything, at the start of YouTube and everything, and I was just like,
same.
Why didn't I just? It never would occur to me. Hey, post them, you know, me playing a fucking video game, you'll make millions. Like,
you could have led the way. That's insane. Yeah, no, I'm with you 100%.
I don't mean to hate you either. I mean, honestly, I'm not salty. I'm just jealous. I'm just like, God, I just wish I thought of some stuff like that, though. And even now, I'm just like racking my brain, and that's the biggest problem, is that like, even with good ideas, it takes a certain kind of person, no matter what kind of artist you are, to just go, it's done. You know, whatever it is that you're creating, there has to be a moment where you say it's finished, and there is no such thing as perfect. But the people that don't understand that are people like me, who just never end up getting anything off the ground. You know, like I always wondered how artists like handled their back catalog, because it's like even today when I like picked up the guitar and played an old song that I wrote, I remembered it note for note, word for word, and I remember just cringing, going like, God, I can't believe I wrote this.
But it's a start, dude. Like, you should never talk that way about your past creativity, because that got you to where you are. Like, you wouldn't have, everybody needs some cringeworthy moments in their past to learn from and to develop their craft or whatever.
And don't get me wrong, you're right about all that kind of stuff. The issue is that it always happens that way, though. If I write something, the next day it's stupid. You know what I mean? Like, it's just there usually has to be a point where it's just like, you know what, though, just get it out anyways, though. You know what I mean?
Yes,
it's
yes,
like,
absolutely. Well,
be Johnny Ramone, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, that guy, fucking, or even the Pistols, man. They even had a bassist that couldn't fucking play. I would have seen that and have been like, we can't even play a show, guys. Our bassist doesn't even know a note. These guys were like, fuck it, we're gonna play a show. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I see these people who can do this and the pageantry that goes behind it, though. And I'm going to be careful because I have this ADD going on, but like even people like Blackbeard, the pirate, they understood pageantry. You know what I mean? Like, he was the reason. I don't know if you know this, but like he was the one that came up with kind of like the rock star persona, the pirate look. You know what I mean? He like do something with his beard. He put weird little fuses in them and light them before he goes into battle. And looked like his shit was smoking fire and stuff like that, though. And he just made himself larger than life. You know what I mean?
That's fucking
people
awesome.
thought that shit. People thought this guy was like a ghost, practically.
Innovator.
And it was all because of the pageantry.
Yeah.
And it just goes back to all these people who know how to sell these things. It's like it's half the time. I mean, it's about like just the idea and the guy that believes it 100%. And all you ever need is just one person to just stand up and say, I'll stand with him, and now you got a movement.
Well, and to that note, though, even going back to what you're saying about the cringeworthy shit that, like, you write something down, the next day it's crap. There's an audience out there for it. There's a market for it. You just don't know that. And we are all our own worst critics. So you're gonna look at that the next day.
Again,
and be like,
I know,
shit,
and I'm sure all that stuff. I know this. It's that's the issue. Is the ones that get that make stuff and put it out there. The ones that don't suffer an internal silence and never get anything off the ground.
I've said this before, and the offer always stands. It still and will always stand until. But if you ever do make it out here, I am glad to make videos with you. I'm glad to podcast with you. We can do all kinds of shit, dude. I will make sure that it gets put out. I won't let you criticize yourself and stop it from being released. You as much as you like to belittle yourself and say that you don't have it. You've got something. There's something there. So I wouldn't just make offers to make videos and be creative with people if I didn't think there was something there.
Yeah.
Like,
and
I've had it
something
in the past.
that like I've definitely well, and I've taken that to the the bank, where I'm just like, people believe in me, because like, if I'm being honest, I don't even mean to like toot my own horn, but like a lot of people have said this too, though. They're like, dude, you should be doing something, you know what I mean? Like start a YouTube, whatever, or just go fucking stand in front of something and start talking. And I'm just like, about what? And I just I wish
this is exactly what I'm getting at. We're just having a conversation. It's already great. Like, we haven't even touched on any of my talking points, and this is already good content. Like, just out of a conversation, we just started. But before we get too deep, let's move to one of my talking points. You did start a business, or helped it get off the ground at least, right? So you did create something. You put it out there in the universe, and it's succeeding. Is that not correct?
It's doing all right, actually. So I, with my girlfriend's family, I came in, and basically they had long since been wanting to open a cannabis store, and at the time it was just a dream where, it just sounded nice because they're pretty well off. And these people, as all rich people understand, is revenue streams is how you be able to live your life the way you want to, and not working for someone, the man, all the rest of your life.
Of course.
They also saw, though, that like, even though we were all college educated, my girlfriend and I, between both of us, and even what we had what's considered high up jobs and stuff like that, we still somehow, some way could not afford a 1-bedroom apartment in the city on our own. And it kind of woke them up a little bit to what's really going on around here, you know?
Sure.
You know, because I mean, come on, I was a therapist. She's a scientist, works at CHOP. You know what I'm saying? Like, how can these two people not be able to afford a 600 square foot bedroom?
Jesus.
So, now, granted, don't get me wrong. I mean, I told you about this place. It is expensive, though, you know. But that's the issue was that it was the only place that actually felt safe enough. Anywhere else, and it was not gonna. I just would not have. I'd be sleeping with one eye open all the time. You know what I mean? You know, being 19 floors up. You have to get through all kind. You know what I mean? I feel safe here. 100%. I can see. And yeah, and you can't pay for that.
Now,
you know what I'm saying? And money. I mean, you did. I did. But I'm saying is that money. How do I word this? What I'm saying is, money does not have an influence on that because I was willing to pay that. I mean, in order to feel safe and stuff like that. You know? Plus, the main thing is she doesn't like to drive, so she wanted to be in walking distance of CHOP. So the plan is to just try to get her that whatever it's called, the experience and stuff like that, and we're just gonna get the hell out of Dodge. But I digress. Where were we originally talking about?
It doesn't matter because I've got a question. I want to know. We were talking about your business, but I want to know
the business. Yeah. So they set it up. You're gonna have to do this for me. You have to loop me back around.
That's okay.
Sometime.
I got you.
I'll start.
I got you.
So basically, though, the revenue stream, just yes, they wanted to set this up, and then their cousin was already well on his way, getting through things, and so I was just like, hey, I've actually always wanted to do this. So I mean, I grew it illegally. I know what I'm doing. I genuinely can, like talk about this, talk shop, and I know about everything, from third party devices or whatever, and so they brought me on to do marketing and stuff like that, and I basically pushed. For the big grand opening, all that kind of good stuff, and yeah, it's open. But the issue that I'm seeing is that so Jersey, when they first legalized, they only gave out so many licenses, and they only gave them to people who already had a foothold in another state.
Okay.
Right. So this meant that they were doing they were going with what's called MSOs. I can't remember what that stands for. I apologize, but just big cannabis company. Big. Multiple states, hundreds of millions of dollars. And so they only gave them the licenses, promising that eventually mom and pops like me could get in and stuff like that. Now, they made stipulations, which I thought was kind of beautiful. 3 things. You can they would give out licenses to one of 3. You didn't have to make all 3, but just one of 3. If you were all girl, all female, you can apply for a license, they'll give it to you. If you had this is my favorite one. If you had a previous conviction to cannabis.
Oh, wow.
As in you went to jail for cannabis, they will consider you for a license first.
That's fantastic.
I thought that's beautiful. And the third one was if you're a minority. So we knocked pretty much all those ones out except for the convictions that never seen jail before, Papa bless. And by the way, I'd like to put this on record. My 2 sisters have seen jail. And I haven't. If money was on the table back in the day, it would have been this guy. You know what I'm saying?
That's hilarious.
I love rubbing that into everyone's faces in the family. But no, so the issue then is that it took many, many years for them to finally give out licenses to us regular guys, and all of the great frontage places have already been taken.
Oh.
So to try and make a long story short, what I'm getting at is the place that we got was tucked away in the middle of fucksware nowhere.
Okay.
And not just that, but they also gave 6 other people licenses in the same area. So there is now 7 cannabis stores in walking distance of each other.
Fuck.
In the same area.
So location is your biggest fight now.
It's killing us, man. We're hemorrhaging because of just that. I mean, like maybe if we were just 1 or 2 or something like that, but 7. Oh, I gotta move. But 7.
Yeah.
And they allowed this, and that's the issue. They stuck us all in the middle of nowhere, and now, again, what I'm getting at is I'm all over the place. But just okay. So imagine you're going to the mall, right? And you can see, because there's frontage everywhere. It's on a main road. Oh, hey, there's a cannabis store. You know what I mean? You don't necessarily got to stop off there, but you can go home. Hey, honey, I saw there's a cannabis store down the street. You should go check it out sometime. Oh, yeah. Okay, that's how things should work.
Okay.
Putting us back in this middle of nowhere where it's not even through traffic. There is no place to get to the place. There's never going to be a story of, hey, honey, I was just going down to, whatever in Mount Holly and I saw there's no. You have to be there for what you're going to be there. These assholes said it was up and coming. My man, it's down and out. It is not. Place looks like a shanty town. If I'm being honest. Now, the people were amazing, though, so I hope anybody listening to this that happens to be from there, you guys were so fucking amazing. You're nice, and you were so humble, and you let us in like family and stuff like that. I'm sorry if I offended, but the point I'm getting at, though, is this is not personal. This is business. I didn't go there to make friends. I went there to open a business and at least, not necessarily be a chameleonaire, but, at least have a little piece of the pie.
Sure.
Well, and it's not necessarily working out that way, though. It looks like we're going to start maybe breaking even more. But the hardest part, too, is they've also made it so you can't market. You can't go to Meta. Meta would kick you off. We'd get our shit banned if we marketed on there. Jeez. Now, we can say stuff like, hey, come in 20% off, but we can't show you our wares. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we can't actually push the message, though. So I can open a page and I can post on my wall. But I have to get the followers. I can't just put $20 into the till like you can regularly. Because I used to be a marketer. You just be able to hop on and really simply just put how much money you wanted to put in, and it would show you how many people you could reach for how many days, for how long. You can't do that.
Damn.
Can't do billboards. Can't do newspaper. Can't do radio.
Whoa, it's way different than it is here then, because that shit.
It's very different.
That shit is all over here.
Oh, it's expensive too, man. I don't even buy. I somewhat own the place, and because I have like a share, like a piece of it. The parents made sure that we owned some of it. Okay. What I'm getting at is I own some of this place, and I still don't buy weed from Jersey. Now I know I'm breaking your heart right now because you were supposed to hire me for that thing and stuff like that. I was fully intending to stop for a few months and be able to piss clean if I ever got brought onto that.
Oh, this would be a permanent thing because they do randoms all the time, so.
I'd quit permanently if it was for that job. It's a good enough job that I'd quit permanently.
Well, we're working on we're still in a battle to try and get more
Take
staffing.
your time, man, because I actually, with my lady doing this right now, we're not ready to move. I'd have to move without her, and I don't want to do that.
Yeah,
so
no,
right now,
totally understand.
The fact that it's not there yet, that works out for me.
It's going to be a couple of years before it's there.
Chef's kiss. But I'm serious, though. If you know it's coming up, though, I promise you, I will quit this shit. I don't do it much anymore, either. The irony. I opened this place up. I thought I was going to be I smoked 2 joints before I smoked 2 joints. But dude, I am on the lowest amount of weed that I've ever been in my entire life.
That's crazy. I don't know. I think at some point you kind of just outgrow it anyway. It's a natural progression. But, you
couldn't have said it better. It really does happen to everybody. There's just this point where you're like, I'm good.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun while it lasted. I'm done. Yeah. But, to each their own. I'm no judgment. Yeah. I still am a strong proponent
keep in mind,
for it.
Because, whether you believe it or not, it really does have medicinal benefits. I never want smokes to get what, man? So, okay, you know what? I'll say this. I'll say, fuck Cheech and Chong for ruining cannabis. Because
there's far many, can't words right now. There's far more people that have ruined it beyond them. They may have made it a funny thing and kind of, over dramatized it, but I think that the real people who ruined it are the lazy stoners who, just sit around smoking weed all day with no ambition and just
perpetuated by Cheech and Chong, though. That brought it to light. These people sitting at home, they're not. But keep in mind, if these people were as lazy as you say, no one sees them. They're sitting at home smoking. You know what I mean? I don't see these people. What really showed into the light was Cheech and Chong, and it made everyone think, oh, these people are at home just sitting around getting stoned. And there are people that are like that, but there's far more people like me who just smoke just because they don't like alcohol and they just want to take that edge off.
The working class, yeah. Now, okay.
Yeah.
Before I'm going to switch topics real quick. Well, okay. Before I switch topics, I want to ask you, how did you and your girl meet, and what facilitated the move to Pennsylvania?
We met on Coffee Meets Bagel, actually. It's a terrible name for a dating app, but I found that the matches there were much better quality. It's just it just seemed like the girls there were very smart. I was always going on dates with doctors, lawyers.
Holy
I
shit!
Out with this one girl who we went and took her horses jumping and stuff like that. She was an equestrian, I think. I'm sorry if I messed that word up. I loved it because the difference, because I'd go to Tinder and it just was a completely different kind of person. I mean, it just felt like it was oftentimes just genuinely crazy, just not good matches. It always just crashed and burned or ghosted, just any number of things, all the things that all those buzzwords that you hear happen. You know what I mean? Wow. Ghosting and all that kind of good stuff, and being invited to go. It was just what's it called? An ad or an AI or even a person just trying to get you to their OF page or something like that. You know what I mean? It's just filled with bullshit, and I pity anybody having a date right now. It's only gotten worse. This was back in 2020. It's only gotten worse since then. But anyways, going back to Coffee Meets Bagel, I loved the matches. Again, everyone was just really quality by person. I hope that I'm not bending by the word quality. I'm not it's not like a horse here or something like that. I'm not judging but I just meant they just were good people. They were just really good. I ended up being friends with most of these people. Even if it didn't work out, I legitimately became friends with so many of these people because we're just great. Dude, you're actually really cool, man. Yeah. We're just not there, but you're cool. And I was like, you too, man. So yeah, lots of cool friends. I've always been more of I just get along with girls better anyway.
Yeah,
so
I hear that. Okay, so you met there. Now, what facilitated you guys moving to Pennsylvania?
Well, her parents live here. And so them being well off, they were able to use their financial influence to basically stronghold us into moving here.
Oh wow! Now both of you guys lived in Atlanta when you met?
Yeah, we both lived in Atlanta, and she was just getting out of, because she went to SCAD. It was it's like a really nice, fancy art school. She wanted to be an animator and stuff, but the art world's just terrible, and they just shoot her up and spit her out and stuff.
Bro, I want her to animate for me, and I will voice for her.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you.
But, yeah, I will have to see. She's now, because of that though, the whole experiences, she just feels like her art isn't really anything at all, and so she'll I've asked her to do logos for my business, and just seeing the way she just can't even the talent's there, but the way that she pours over, she's like me, where it's never finished, it's not done, it's not good, it's terrible. I'm just like, babe, it's fucking beautiful, give me that, you know what I mean? And so
yeah,
the good thing is we make a good team like that. If you did want something, I could possibly get her to work on it, and I can be the guy that comes in and goes, it's done, stop.
Well, you know I mean, if she wants to create something, I have a voice that I can provide for her too, so and I'm not saying that in a proverbial, I have a voice out in public. I mean, I literally do voices, so I would love to.
Yeah, the voice acting.
So I would love to do that.
She doesn't do, she mainly does just drawings now, actually. But if there's anything that ever pops up, even something like a video game, because I know her friends do stuff make video games and stuff for major companies. So while obviously we can't get into the major companies, there are plenty of times that they have a thing called a game jam. And it's just basically everyone comes together and makes a game just in 48 hours or something that. Obviously these are very rudimentary games, but the idea is just to keep you fresh, you know what I mean, and just be presented with problems and try to solve them and stuff like that, and then collaborate and work together. And sometimes a good product actually is conceived this way. You may not know, but there's a lot of good games out there that were bred from game jams.
That's cool.
But yeah, so I'll keep you in mind if there's anything like that though. But right now it's pretty dry. I mean, I'm coming to you for the work. I'm like, no, if you know anything, let me know.
No, I got you. Okay, well that's good. Now I wanted to touch on something else that you kind of hinted at, and you said that you prefer weed over alcohol. Now I know that, and I don't know how vulnerable you want to get, but when you were staying with Nanny and Papo, the first time that I was in the picture, you were having a real go at the booze.
Yeah.
Was that more? I want to know if that was more of a an emotional driven thing, or if that was an alcohol driven thing. Was that something that you were struggling with addiction, or was that you were struggling with mental health?
Pure emotion.
Pure emotion. What caused it? What was the emotion?
Yeah. When my mind is right, I don't need any substance in the world.
Sure.
And then the second things start to go down suddenly. I've actually been able to divert away from that. The past few things that have happened that I know would normally trigger an alcoholic bender, I've actually diverted from it. But the last time, it was just a breakup. The thing is it really wasn't that I was necessarily bent up about the girl per se. I mean, I kind of was, but the issue was I've always been prone to depressive episodes.
Okay.
And there are things that trigger it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so when I would get dumped, randomly like that or something, it triggered a depressive episode. Though. Normally I'd have been like, you might have been sad. Don't get me wrong. I'd have been sad. I've been downtrodden, and I'd build myself back up, all that bullshit. But
right.
I wouldn't have been. It was crippling. It was like, I'm talking like those movies where you see someone where they're in bed and they don't move for like days.
Yeah.
And they can't do anything. Like, that's how bad it was. No one really, again, most people don't really act like that during breakups unless they're really prone to real depression episodes.
But everybody handles shit differently too. You can't just say it was because it was triggering to you. Like, you might just be more prone to that kind of an emotion. Like, your emotions are stronger than the average Joe or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I've taken.
Well, I take breakups as like it almost feels like a death, and so that's how I kind of would see it. That's how I experienced it. It just, because you're never going to see that person again, and for all intents and purposes, they might even run the other way if they see you or something. But either way, they're dead.
I can see that. Yeah,
and
absolutely.
So my mind really kind of was just like really going through, a lot more than what it should have. But and like I said, I'm not trying to take away either the pain necessarily, because I know that I was upset because of these. But I'm telling you, looking back, I can also see that, like, just like that, after like the month or two mark, I'd still be down, but it'd be like a switch. Suddenly I just wake up and just not need booze anymore.
Damn, that's crazy. So you've never struggled with addiction. That it's not that. It's just more of something to do.
That was a 2-month bender. I'd never drank before that, and I didn't really drink much after that. Like, after that, it was like, go to a party and have a beer or something like that. But there's never been a time where you come home and you open up the fridge and there's a sixer waiting. There's never been a time. Wow,
that's great. I'm all for it. Like, I'm not a big booze fan myself. That's never been my go-to, and I'm not a fan of other people consuming to that point. Like, it doesn't bother me when people will say they come home and have a beer, or I
don't care.
Get together with people and have a beer. That never bothers me. It's the people who are out of control with it that I'm concerned about. I worry about them.
Yeah. There was an interesting statistic that I read that it was something like the top 5%, or maybe 10. But either way, it is a scary small number. The top 5 or 10% of alcohol drinkers are responsible for 80-something% of all the alcohol sales out there.
Jesus Christ. That's
the ones
nuts.
that are literally the ones that are killing themselves.
Yeah.
And I don't mind bringing this up, my friend. You have less time than you think. Anyone listening to this.
That's exactly what I was leading into.
Yeah, 5 or 6 drinks a day. It catches up with you much faster than you think. I thought, because I saw I never met him, but my mom's father died the same way.
Okay.
But he was old. He was older, at least. I think like 70s or something. So in my mind, and even Papo, he went through a lot of drinking and stuff. Mm-hmm. Luckily, my dad saw all that and was like, I'm not going to touch anything. So he doesn't do anything, man. He hardly even drinks water. But there was just. I'm sorry. What was I just saying though?
About your
not
friend.
The water. That's right. It happens. I thought that I saw how much he drank, and even though I knew it was a problem, I just still kind of felt like he had a lot more time.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because I was going off with grandpa, I was going off with dad. I'm thinking like, oh, it's not at least gonna be a problem until like 60s or something like that. Though, like, I come to find out that my information was just really, really off though, and like a lot of people have been dropping like flies in their 30s just because they drink the bottom shelf rot gut or gut rot, whatever you call it, and he was just going ham. And that 30, I'm 39, so he was 35. Jesus. At 35, succumbed to cirrhosis.
That's fucking nuts, dude. I've only had one experience with somebody like that in my past, and it was an ex-girlfriend's aunt married her crush, this firefighter, and he was retired. They had like a year after they got married before he died of cirrhosis, but because this guy would carry around an Allsup's cup, like this 32-ounce cup, all the time with a lid on it, and it was always full of Bud Light, and that's all he would drink all day, every single day, just constant. That cup had to be filled. Like, he went into the hospital, and they told him, "You're fucked up, but you can come back from this. If you stop drinking right now, you're gonna be fine and live out a long, normal life." he called his daughters and had them start sneaking beer into him in the hospital because he couldn't be without it, and he died a couple weeks later. It was fucking nuts like that. I can't believe the control that alcohol has on some people. But now going back to your friend, first off, condolences again. I know that was really hard for you, and
Yeah.
I want to talk about it a little bit because I've experienced so much death in my life from friends, family, just random people dying the most random ways. That I was having this conversation with somebody else earlier today that it's almost numbing. It's become to the point where I'm almost numb to it. It's just another sad thing that happened to another person too young, too soon. How this was your first experience with something like that, and how did that affect you?
Let's see. Yeah. So while it was my first experience, I still had a lot of experience with ancillary characters in my life because, unfortunately, that same guy that I've told you about who passed away, what his best friend OD'd maybe a few years before that.
Oh fuck.
So I wasn't friends with this guy, like friends, but because David was my best friend, I was with this guy a lot. We were at least on each other's Facebooks,
Sure.
and when we see each other, it was at least like, oh, dude, it's you. But we'd never hang out like just him and me. We were never those kinds of friends,
Sure.
So, that happened, and then like a guy I worked with who I just would just, we were just really friendly. Again, didn't really hung out outside of work, but just really friendly. Just, that one guy that you could stand at work, and you really kind of create that bond because of that. Like everyone sucks, but we're all right,
Yeah.
But he OD'd as well, actually.
Damn. Well.
And so I've seen it a lot around me though, and so no, I'm getting to it. I was always somewhat kind of like used to at least that feeling of like someone who's here is not here, but I never once experienced it like this, where it was someone who I had this like very, just the intimate knowledge of, you know
Sure.
what I mean, like. Just everything about this person's life. You probably would have been best man at the wedding, kind of thing.
Yeah.
To be honest, I didn't really know how to feel because it was like, a quick digress, really quick one. It's you actually that I have to thank for even me finding out about this, because I don't Facebook. I got off socials a long time ago. And I keep him, though, because I like how, if someone ends up moving to China, I don't have his number, but hey, I can get his Facebook.
Right.
But so it was because of you, because you needed to get on Messenger and call, right? And that's when I opened up my Messenger and I saw that I had messages, because I keep my shit silent. So it wouldn't even pop up on my front page.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's completely muted.
I do the same.
So I opened up my Messenger, and that's when I say I have messages. I was like, huh? So that's why it was so abrupt. You know what I mean? It's not like he died that moment and I found out. It was that, it happened like weeks before, actually. I didn't know it at the time. I thought this just happened.
Okay.
This is how bad my timeline was off with the whole thing, man. But Jennifer you don't know her, but just a mutual friend. She had messaged me going like, hey, man, are you okay? And I was like, what do you mean? You know what I mean? And I was like, and she was like, about David. And I was just like, and it kept going. I was just like, what are you talking about? That's when it finally hit. And I was just like, oh, my God. So, again, into some way, thank you for scheduling that, because I still don't know if I would have known about it. I wouldn't have been on Facebook since.
Yeah.
There have been no reason to, man. So that's wild to me how serendipitous this seemed to work out, that you needed. The only reason I would have been in my messages is because of you. So, I know you didn't mean to, but thank you.
Well, yeah. Thank you for letting me know that my best friend died. No, you're welcome. That's a shitty way to find out, but yeah, like it would have.
Yeah,
I think it'd been worse to not know.
I didn't have my number. That was the issue. Was that no one else? Because I just talked to him about like maybe a week ago, but we didn't. It had been a while, so we weren't really close, much toward the end and stuff like that. So he was just a person you caught up with, maybe like once, a month or something like that. But we still at least caught up once a month. Many people you don't talk to at all.
Yeah.
So I still consider that somewhat close, but like my numbers changed and everything. No one really knew how to get a hold of me.
Okay.
Yeah. So it is what it is, but I'm still thankful. Because like I said, I'd still be sitting here. I got to go to his funeral, dude. If I did not see that message, I would not have been able to go to his funeral.
And to that note, like I was telling you, it's for me especially, it's really hard to process death without seeing it for firsthand. As morbid as that sounds, like
no, that makes sense.
When my brother passed, I just and this is going to sound really stupid, but I had this feeling inside that they all got it wrong. The doctors and cops got it wrong. He's not dead. There's a chance he can come back, and they're
That's
going
what
to
it felt
fix
like.
him. And it wasn't until the moment that like we had a private family viewing and I walked in and saw him that I was like, oh fuck, this shit's real. Like it's real. Like it
Made it
was,
real, yeah.
and I would not have been able to properly grieve had I not had that moment. So I mean, I guess there is something to be said for funerals and stuff, but again, at some point you just become numb to the whole thing because there's,
Yeah.
especially in my life,
Well,
there's so many people that I grew up with, that I was close with, that had died, and I'm like, I can't do this anymore. This is fucking emotionally draining.
absolutely. Well, and I actually had to grieve in my own way because they actually cremated before, like long before I even got there.
Oh wow.
So I still didn't get to actually see him, which I still think would have kind of helped in a morbid kind of way. But
Yeah, no,
it
absolutely,
would have.
but also
I still got
even
my own closure because it was fun seeing everybody. Like I think that one of the best conversations I ever had, I mean at least about it, I mean, was with the sister actually. And like she just she always was really sweet to me and stuff, just like really, I mean, like she's seen me fuck up the most too. Like she was really knew me around like, you know, my bender days kind of thing, you know what I
Sure.
mean? So, you know, the fact that she's kind of just sees through that and still is just so warm to me and just sweet and stuff like that, I'll never forget just how she really just set aside time. You have to say David was very popular and very big crew, and I mean, like I'm talking like, you know, a good like 80 or something like that people that, as the years go on, I mean, you were just in his orbit and stuff like that. But he had a very large crew. You go over there, and there'd be like a dozen people there, and they'd be smoking meat, and you know, and just you having a, you know, merry old time and stuff.
Yeah.
What I'm getting at though is that, you know, she didn't really have time to set aside to do this, but she did though, you know, and it was nice that she just like, you know, we just talked. It was just it was a little bit of everything, just the good times and what exactly happened. And then we both kind of came to the realization that he was drinking much more than we thought. You know, he was always drinking, but he was never a drunk. And that's what the biggest issue was. He was never this, like, if he was this sloppy guy that was not like that,
Yeah.
then, like, I'd be like, God, this guy, he's going down. But he was never like that. This dude he'd create gorgeous works of art. He could actually, you know, art. He can also do music. He could play any instrument you can think of. And he was always
Jesus.
recording it too and sharing it with friends. And he was doing stuff. This guy was not just, you know, a drunk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He was a real artist, though. You know, with real talent, he could do things. So we never once knew that he had this bad of an issue.
That's
so it was depressing because it was once we started like. You know how when someone dies, sometimes we'll make like a collage or something, or just like a place to like, you know, share all the pictures.
Yeah.
And sure enough, though, one by one, we kind of like were looking at all the pictures that we all took together as friends, and in every single picture, though, homie's holding a drink.
Jesus. Well, and
then we're just like, how were we this fucking blind, you know?
Well, I mean, at least you did have that funeral to solidify some sort of a grieving process, or even get it started, I guess. Initiate a grieving process, because I think it's a lot worse hanging onto that false hope that, you know, oh, maybe it's wrong, maybe it's not the right person. Like, at least you proactively went down there and partook of the celebration of his life. I feel like that's really important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I just wish he could have seen the outcome, because he would have wanted it differently. Like, he knew that something was wrong, and he still didn't go in to go get it checked out. Like, really bad shit was happening to him, and he knew something was wrong. And he kind of just kept thinking, like, well, if I switch to beer instead, or if I kind of cut back and stuff, and just whatever. But he did want to go get checked out, but he was always scared to go and stuff. And you know, and I get that that's the irony, because he's like, well, they're gonna find something. I was like, well, what's the point? They go in, they find stuff, dude. Like,
that's what they're supposed to do.
It's upsetting because his drinking buddy, which is also his roommate, one time experienced the same thing, right? They were both experiencing this terrible side effect, and David called the fucking hospital, or, you know, the ambulance, and had his friend taken away, and they were like, you know, basically exactly what your friend was told. Like, you're well on the way out, but if you stop now, you can live a regular ass life. So he quit, you know. And even knowing and seeing all this, he didn't, and that's what blows my mind. There's no way he didn't tell David what happened to him. Like, oh, dude, it ends out I have cirrhosis basically, and I gotta quit. You probably have the same thing because we have the same issues, and
yeah.
They had that conversation. It upsets me. He didn't think once. It's like, well, maybe I should stop. Or it was like, I'll just switch to beer. It's like with your friends. You see it, but they still didn't do anything about it though.
Well, and more so,
sneak alcohol in.
But also, why didn't the friend do something? Let me return the favor and call the ambulance for you. Like, there's, I don't know. That's sad all the way around.
Well, there's that too, definitely. Don't get me wrong. That went through my mind too and stuff. But David was a smart person though. He was really, really smart. So it says to me that he just didn't put those two together. You know what I mean? That's something that David would have figured out. So it was just strange to me that he thought that somehow, I don't know, he could bypass it or something, or somehow switching to beer would save his life.
It's a sad loss of life. Like, it's unnecessary and too young, and that's very unfortunate.
Well, and again, to see how it happened, I mean, this is a person who did want to go out his own way, and I'm sure that to some degree, like, yeah, he did want to go out his own way, but if he could see how it actually happened, where his dad was the one that found him because it was on his birthday, and he was there to deliver a present. And afterwards, though, when they called the hospital, Mary's sister was there, and they were cleaning up the mess and stuff, and he had definitely bled out a lot of blood in his sleep.
Oh, Jesus. That's so sad.
And that's what made it all the more depressing. There were just moments where I just kept thinking about him just dying in his sleep and stuff like that, just alone and scared. And
those are horrible. I've lived that.
But he's definitely, when I finally heard the whole story though, because it was a lot of, I had to talk to a lot of friends and just kind of understand this route, because there was a moment where I was like, he knew.
Yeah.
Why did he keep going then? And there was a lot of mystery going on. And then Mary even read to me a couple of notes that he wrote that was right by his dresser and stuff like that. And it's a little bit unintelligible. I couldn't understand it. It was like rantings, but some of it made sense though. But it just, long story short, sounded like he knew that he was dying and stuff, and he just kind of somewhat accepted it though.
Fuck. It's crazy that you say about the like those thoughts, because I feel like empathetic people, and I know this from my own self, is when, for instance, when my friend was murdered in 2019, I thought about how he must have felt dying. Like, what was that like? I put myself in his place and thought about it, and I'm like, that is so fucking sad. Like, I hate this. But I've done it for everybody who's died that was close to me. I thought about my brother, what it was like for him. I thought, it's something I can't help. I feel like it's just something that goes hand in hand with empathy, and it sucks. But also maybe it is part of the closure process for us. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. Just a thought.
Yeah, it's as morbid as it sounds, but it is though. It's like much the same way. And this is gonna sound random as hell, but like when people who get cheated on, you think that it'd be the opposite. They wouldn't want to know really what happened, but for some reason they want to know every single detail that happened.
Yes.
And this kind of goes in that same kind of territory. But it's morbid. I needed to know. I needed to know how he went. I needed to know where and why, and who was around and all that kind of stuff.
What was he thinking?
Yeah, I need to stitch days together. And again, that's where Mary came in through days, because she even read the notes to me and stuff like that. She shared very intimate, last moment of with me and stuff like that. She was integral, because it was strange. After our whole conversation, I just felt like this brick. I felt better about the.
Well, that's great.
Clearly I wasn't happy about it, but I mean, I just felt like he's just in a better place. Like, he's just really genuine. I hate the way that sounds, but I can see why people say those. He is genuinely, he's in God, but a better place. A lot of pain.
You're cutting out.
Is it
there you go.
Sorry, I didn't know it was a visual.
No, the audio was cutting out.
Oh, the audio.
Yeah, it's much better now.
Do you know where the mic is on these bad boys?
I don't know. I think it's on your right side of the screen.
Testing. Can you hear me? Did it mute?
No.
Okay. I don't know what happened then.
Yeah, that was weird. It was just your audio was really choppy.
Oh, okay. That might have just been the connection.
It's clear as day now, though.
Good.
So we're coming up on an hour here, and I don't want to end this, but I'm gonna have to. So there's a couple of my talking points that I want to get to before we leave.
Yeah, we can touch them real quick. Go ahead.
I'm genuinely curious. Growing up in Atlanta, what was that like? What did that look like as opposed to myself growing up in New Mexico, where more of a country life versus Atlanta being a bustling city center? What was that like for you? And did you guys ever live in New Mexico before you made it out there?
Let's see. So my parents had my older sister in Santa Fe, New Mexico.
Okay.
But then we moved to Nevada where they had me.
Oh, wow.
And it was in the middle of nowhere. But I was too young to know that it was in the middle. I wasn't cognizant.
Okay.
Then he did his computer boot camp type thing, and he got picked up to go work for a place called Metro, and then also the Coca-Cola company afterwards. So basically, he brought us into Atlanta. Interestingly enough, then he joined the Center for Disease Control, and he was actually set on an assignment where we were going to be living in Colombia.
Holy shit.
We had passports made and everything. Yeah, like, if you really want to think about how different my life would be, can you imagine that?
That's nuts.
I'd be a Spanish speaker, man. But so at the last minute, like on the 11th hour, they ended up keeping us in Atlanta and stuff like that. But I lived in what's called outside the perimeter, or we say OTP.
Okay.
Outside the perimeter is like you've got the city, and then just draw a circle right outside it. It's outside the perimeter. I lived in the suburbs. I had a regular suburban childhood.
Okay.
And I also had plenty of friends who lived a place called Cartersville. But anyone who doesn't know, think Rio Rancho. It was just small town stuff. It was one of the virtues I've always extolled about Atlanta is that in one part you can be in suburbia where the white picket fence and the nice houses and stuff, and apple pies being made right next to you, and you can go in a different direction. You can see cows and you can see farms and little nowhere.
Wow.
Or you can go back to where you started and then go in the opposite direction, and in 30 minutes you've got a hustling, bustling city.
That's crazy.
With art and all kinds of culture. And so I got to experience all three.
That's really cool.
When I first went to the city as a child, it definitely was a culture shock. One of them, and I'm going to be honest, I'm not racist, but there was a lot of black people, and they were all out in the open, and they were listening to loud music. And as a guy from the suburb, from white suburbia and stuff like that, the one black dude you had in your class was like, it was kind of like South Park. He was like the token. He just, acted as white as us.
His name was Clarence.
A different culture.
Yeah.
It was like, oh my gosh, though, and don't get me wrong. I mean, after a few months and wrapping yourself up a little bit more in the culture and stuff like that, and just getting out again, we lived in, at the time, the outside perimeter area wasn't very built just yet, though, so you could actually somewhat consider it. Maybe it was a little bit middle of nowhere, but the street that I live on was a one-lane road, and it had one little Walmart and a Chevron.
Oh, wow.
That was back when I moved there. Now, there's literally 2 Starbucks on the same road, but on opposite sides. There's 15 different kinds of fast food restaurants. There's, shopping. There's all on the same road. So it is blown up, like, exponentially.
Wow. That's crazy.
And so I literally got to experience everything, though. And it was, again, once I experienced the culture, though, getting out of that, though, and going to the city more and seeing things, it was just like normal, though. But
that's awesome.
It was a good way to be brought up.
Yeah, heck yeah. Okay, last question before we get off. What does your 10-year plan from now look like?
Let's see. Not die.
That is a great plan. Let's go with that. I like that.
And wait for Grand Theft Auto 6. Hurry up! No, for real though. I'm in a renaissance phase. I'll let you know real quick, so I know we got to go. But basically, with the cannabis thing, so my role is done. Actually, the place is open, and there's really nothing more to really do. I mean, like, there's only so much that we can do. It is very slowly gaining more and more and more. We're hoping with attrition alone, we can start getting the customers that we need and stuff. But bottom line is, my role is done, and it's time to find something different, though. And so I'm actually at a crossroads of my life. I am done with marketing, because every time the world goes to shit, marketing's the first to get the boot.
Yeah.
And anything else would require me to go back to school. So I am been at the house, just trying to figure out what the next step is. Though I'm on a few things. I won't go into them, but I'm landing on a few things right now. But I haven't actually landed.
Okay.
So.
Well, that's all good stuff, and I'm going to get an update to that the next time we talk. And there will be more of these.
I'll keep you updated.
There will be more of these, just by the way, because we still have so much to talk about, but kind of constrained by an hour limit on these. Otherwise, it's going to take me a month to edit them. So, but
dude, that's completely fine. I get it. Editing's a bitch.
Thank you.
Don't stack these up too much, man. Don't get like 15 of these things and be like, oh fuck, now I don't want to do it.
No. I've actually already got 3 completely edited and ready to go. I just need to.
Oh, congrats.
I just need to stay.
Shoot me a message when it's ready to be listened to, and I'll
pop in. I will definitely do so. But thank you
so much for having me on.
No, thank you for being here, man. Thank you for taking the time out of your day. I know it's not the most convenient thing, but we'll have to have you by and do a live one in the studio here.
That'd be great. I
Cool.
like that, man.
All right, well,
everybody.
Let's stay in touch, and I'll talk to you soon. All
Take
right.
care.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.